Luke 11, verse 21. 21 and 22. Maybe when 23.
All right. Luke 11, verse 21. When the strong man, fully armed, guards his own house, his belongings are undisturbed and secure. But when someone stronger than he attacks and overpowers him, he robs him of all his armor on which he had relied and divides his goods as spoil. He who is not with me, believing in me as Lord and Savior, is against me. There is no impartial position. And he who does not gather with me, assisting in my ministry, scatters.
Okay. Assisting in my ministry, you scatter. Which means you're showing a selfish game, even if it's done under the cover of the anointing, it will still scatter. I'm preaching from my spirit, I'm preaching from my spirit. Because the subjects it's not good. Most of the subjects are back there. Normally, that's where most of the foundations are laying. So when we're talking about the strong man, let's say by Pele, we're using an analogy, right? When a strong man keepeth his palace, his goods are in peace. So it means if we're talking about the strong man, we're talking about, say, if ubaba his wife, if ubaba, let's say is strong and armed, for as long as izipa ahlangana nazo zesibhamu esincane kunalesi esakhe, his family is in peace. This is for as long as, which means I'm not going to go into details with guns, but however, most of it, staff hire, normally I'm a security. And what it does is staff hire, why is name a security? Because I'm a security, it's not within the scope. So what happens is, this is Pam, Magisatubula in Zambi, no matter Silota 9, Magazambi, Siakaya's job. It gives you all sorts of problems. So it's no niggas because it has its own problems. So but if one comes in a span as seven and you're the father of that house, don't worry, Leon but masses keep aside. Who's understanding King Isaac? He has access to your house. And for as long as it's pet, he has the ability to do as he wills. Why? Simply because he's in a position of authority. Now, what I need us to understand about the strong man is that these are old demons. And these demons, they capture a household. And for as long as that household is under the authority of that spirit, you automatically bring out what that spirit wants. We're talking about spirit. So we'll see, for as long as the spirit that is sitting on you has the ability to give you its convictions. So you think as it wants you to think, you behave as it wants you to behave, you speak as it would have you speak. That when God was moved from Adam, even the language changed, which means the manner of thinking had changed. And it means that our convictions were no longer godly convictions, but it was the convictions of the Spirit that was in charge. Okay? Now, I need you to understand that if and you are married to somebody, you are kune spirit esasihamba nobaba wakho, kune spirit esasihamba noma wakho, and has the capacity to change your marriage into what they had, has the capacity to give you their financial challenges, has the capacity to give you their arguments, that the shape is what it had made out of uhlobo lomshado wakho. Okay? Because now that is it's on a generational scale, and this whenever it gets to the 6th generation, yes, you're under the same, so when the strong man you should say no stay, and his goods are in place. So it means and then you need to understand it's not a matter of mutubu sebenza kahle noma you're in a better position than they were financially. You'll find spiritually you keep weaving out the same things that they did. That's why into marriage, you get me now. I'll personally tell you before once you make the decision, it's okay. Now we're gonna get married. Spiritually, to overturn the verdict that the enemy has over your marriage. I'll say there's a few things in my marriage that happened to our parents. But about the worst ones, the Lord has overturned them. It's very different. But it's because what we would do was that I would wake up at 2 and I'd start praying. Because at 4, uzofi. 4 says your time. Before sizohamba sisontweni siyothandaza ngo-4, then from 4 wasisontweni then we're going to the beach. Nasebheshi sizowalk sibe sithandaza futhi, but it was a matter masisebheshi it's prophecy. We're now building the prophetic and we're like, okay, what do you see? Siyahamba and then we're building the prophetic. Sihambe sesojika eShaka Marine, then we walk back to Sun Coast. And it was consistent, I think, for months. Silwa, one is in the the strong man that had the ability to shape and weave out. Unfortunately, there were some instances where they would have financial challenges. Unfortunately, we didn't pray for the spirit. Because it's not your worry, because njalo emshadweni okugqamela kakhulu ukuthi okay, no, this I don't need in my marriage, so God, please sort this out. Yeah, but there are things that we're supposed to pray for before feeling so scared. Or else what happens is that the strong man kule area le wena ongamthintanga nongamtheklishanga kuyona starts to weave out. Yeah, and you find the financial problems that you're having is identical to the ones that your parents had. And you living out Leo, but in actuality, you're supposed to challenge that because the strong man, what happens is that we're dealing here with spirits that already know what they want to see. So Singena with the idea of having a happy marriage, as long as she happy, as long as as long as sometimes you can afford, and God will ensure that there are some things that you can afford. But whilst you're under the administration of that spirit financially, you find you earning well, but that's the thing. I understand Kanja. Whereas at a point in time, I would say, oh, Nasa, 15,000, about 15,000. At that time, you don't even see the possibility of having this kwele. And it's not the ability to pay it back, no. When you're not understanding what's it, or a pet situation will make sure that you will get a long financial track. And the thing is, you don't know how. But the key is that in the realm of the spirit, lende designer. And what you living out physically is his design in the spirit. But not like this is square. This is you in this square. I don't know. Okay, so this is debt. This is financial freedom. So let it design the Satan. So what happens is when this is you earning a salary. So what this guy, because he's a strong man, he has the ability. He keeps you looking to him while moving this direction. We understand? Because you always be like, this was coke, this was coke, this was coke, this was coke. Again, come again, yangenza masinyane ngasaso ngipende. You're looking at your freedom, that's your freedom there. But it's because it's spiritually weak. Your psyche, your mental, this is what you want for yourself. But your decision making is leading you to this person. Understand. But when you're looking here and you're moving there. Because in the realm of the spirit, there's no path that leads you there. There's only a path about less and less Jesus. So what Jesus comes and does, even the ones called as the spirit, lesos tanda azwitse zonke. And you get one, oh, it's all ula. But Masu Solula, don't think you're just gonna move from there to here. We've got a lot of food. And then because Loaran has strength, then Jesus now will say, it's okay. It's your job now to get there. So it means my come over there, and you say no, you begin to move that direction. And it's never quick. Lord can weave up in Tengu, that's an opportunity. If you don't say no, we are party. You need to understand this is spiritual matter. But we look at it in the physical, as in it's like the way it's just a decision. It's just a matter of it's like it is good for a young man to bear his burden in his youth. Because there'll be a point in time with the wisdom of hindsight. Zening isn't Sasing but meanwhile, you're in his vicinity, he is sure. Whether with the wisdom of hindsight, so he's achieved. So when a strong man arm, so it means that his arm is for you to always be in debt. So I know and young issue the way optimistic that I wish you guys would see always looking for promotion, because real promotion is financial freedom. And you need to understand by wisdom of their hindsight, the higher you went, the more debt became, the more debt began to gain ground. The question is how? It's because the spiritual path you're walking on is leading you only in one direction. You only, because that's one spirit you did not take care of. When you're praying to break things, God will do what you ask Him to do. So I know I figure you didn't see it as a problem. You didn't see it as a problem. So Masufi, you want to so deep in that. That's when we want to pray. We'll say because we keep equality. Now the process will not be also. There's a journey for the move. So whenever you're dealing with a strong man, because about asking for more money is just telling that spirit to create bigger pools of debt. Wishes for the husband to die. Yes, because I'll be able to settle the debts. I show and my debts, my debts are in that particular place. I work a lot, so you need to. And that's why if ever you are given the opportunity to deal with the strong man, it's not a 15-minute prayer. It's one that has the freedom not just there, but of everyone. So that is why you find you struggling, having the same problems that your parents had when it comes to finances. nizoxabana yebo sekuze kwa stage esibalwayo in marriage ukuthi it's another brick. It's another building brick in marriage. Uxatshanelwa imali. Yazi. Okay. Kube khona ama challenges that their marriages had. That you find yourself walking into. What happened? That particular spirit started weaving. When unagi each time ungena kwi stage, uyabona usengena kwi marriage sebe weaver izinto that will lead you to the same ditches and the same mistakes that your parents made. And then, depending on which generation you are on, you run the risk of starting a new pattern of evil entirely. Our man have gotten to that's a new pattern. We see the stage is a man, yes, so then the enemy was able to put in divorce. Then I'm just teaching. I know it sounds like marriage. It sounds like marriage, but it's not talking about marriage. If you're not born, that designs your path. He designs the path that when you start walking, your first journey, no matter too happy and too optimistic, your first footsteps will lead you exactly to where your parents were, lead you exactly to what they had, the arguments, the spirits, they do that. Because at the end of the day, but our agendas are that they're fulfilling through your bloodline. So when you give your life to Christ, it's not just enough. People don't understand the pattern or how deep sin is or how deep its system is. So everybody is like, I'm not going to keep on again. We royal priesthood, a peculiar nation. Meanwhile, the Bible has its own demands concerning that particular act. You know, but when you're talking about walking, but has the cross begun its work even in your life? Because everything needs to go through the cross. Even the marriage needs to go through the cross. But you don't understand that the marriage, the unity, about too. They sing it, lo go sing it, go fundi so fast still as you are anointed. The whole package needs to go through the cross because now you have become one. I call them privileges. I call them privileges. I call them privileges of Satan from days. I call. One of the first privileges you have or a front row seat owner is the ability to pray. You see, front row seat, front row seat. It doesn't necessarily have. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything. No. You're still required to pray. And don't let them fool you with listen, we were raised mentors, anointing oil. As a result, we were looking for those things. We may not come from the generation like TV, TV, anointing. That's why you find West Africa. Why? Because if you're not going to read it, it's not going to come in. And just because you have it on your head does not mean you're becoming anointing. In fact, he'd be happy you do that because you're still in bondage and he's fine. Because you doesn't mean you understand the strong man. It doesn't mean you understand. Even the strong man doesn't care. Because you're still on his path. That's all he cares about when you humble. And to change a path in the spirit is not an easy thing. It's not something where you just pray for 15 minutes and say, "Goes, there are portals that have been opened against the children of God. They are about that speak against your life. Where you find, if you are not praying, the voice of the vicious spirit that's coming from that portal, directing your life, you need to understand. I remember one day I was teaching about portals here. And I said there's an altar, there's a ladder, and there's a portal. Yeah. And I said, when there are spirits, vicious spirits, some of the most vicious spirits, also as we kulum, and you find the territory changing to match the words of this spirit. This is kulma. Meaning that the spirit is commanding in the spirit. And commanding your power, which means if he says Utundu will divorce, the kind of fight that will happen in Bilanandu because of this spirit, he will divorce. He will divorce. He keeps saying it in your spirit. When you see your wife, you be with irritation. And this irritation is coming from within. But there's an altar shouting at your life. Meanwhile, when you are just chilling. So now we come, I come from such a mental. So I let if I will wallet, if I will wallet, see if I let, if I let, and we sew it onto your own clothes. We will do that. Number two, mental and anointing oil service. I tell you, I come from that generation. And then I'll tell you something, it never worked. And God does not do anything that He did not tell you. So in order for God to speak, you must pray, which means I went saying Luto because you said nothing, therefore God to say nothing. Therefore, we need to adopt a lifestyle of prayer where God will tell you, is leading you to that place. You find because I seem but we speak the language of blessing. God will bless us financially. Meanwhile, that's what I understand. A blessing is financial freedom. There's blessing. It's not to owe anybody. That is a blessing. Is a blessing. To have a marriage is a blessing. To have a marriage, we're not saying it's perfect. We're saying its perfection is fighting on differences. That's the perfection of marriage, is fighting on differences, difference in opinion. Good process. No. Yeah, but I'm getting that's I get it that we are born with it. Even when you're sitting, we are born equal. That is about. Yeah. They are equal. Who's this but that's now a blessed state. But I can't believe it's a blessed state is having more. That's the wrong teaching. That's the wrong teaching. Having more is not a blessed state. Wow. A blessed state is not having anything about labor of a man. That's a blessed state. You don't know what to say because I'm not so. Wow. When they speak, and this is but there has to be a difference between the children of God and the children of this world. And now, what is the difference? It's not that the children of God have more. Is that the kind of bondage is love about experiencing. That's the difference. So what's being taught is so much of materialism missing, and that everything else that's recognized as a blessing must be integral. It is not. To have a house paid in full is a blessing. To not owe bills of your house is a blessing. To buy food consistently is a blessing. To have decent clothes is a blessing. You didn't borrow them, you just have them. That's a blessing. Because lo wasemhlabeni masekhuluma esethe yabona nje khona sesikweletu esisicela nawe uqhamuka uthi ibuke uyasazi nawe uzokhuluma ngesakha uyasazi ayibuke leyo yabona the first thing we need to understand, the lingo is the same. Indlela efana ngayo is well received because CC on the So if ever we were to understand godliness is to have freedom, that is what it means to be blessed, not to have more. So we find the roots here. We in these spiritual paths. Like spiritual path, meanwhile, the strong man is saying, we are praying, but you're on the path. Now, you need to come to a state where the whole you goes to the cross. The marriage goes to the cross. Second privilege of being married to a man of God. You have the front row seat in understanding the demands of God over your life. They say in the Bible they call about a royal priesthood is people that hear the voice of the master. Amen. So there are things about your husband as the woman that you will know before even he knows sometimes. And I speak from a practical place. I speak from a practical place. So what happens is that before there are some demons that I start praying and feel like a champion. Meanwhile, she had been praying for a long time before that. It's just that she didn't say. Then I'm praying and feeling like a champion. Then the Holy Spirit will say, "I can give jelly." And she's been praying. No. So that's why when I go ask, 15 minutes. So she becomes your secret weapon. But if now imagine, you understand? Now if you're a man and you beat your husband, if you're a man and you beat your wife, have you ever noticed? They just die under unexplained circumstances. You just beat down your defense. You left yourself exposed. You don't know, eh? That is why when we pick a wife, choose very well. Because if you have chosen well, you will look at the grace of God upon her life, reflecting. That one is not to make you jealous. I'll tell you the difference between Minas and God will speak to her in details. God made Ushinde Opa. Down there, eat one. And down there, is enough. But nothing fair. God said to me, then she will give the details of what God had said. Had said. Had. Me not gonna fresh. The privileges. We're talking about a godly marriage. I look one was. Can be crazy like can go mimshad. When me one man in Gangela corner, but yeah, like is one way God tells the wife, we know our women to be the center of our lives, because we know you mess with her, you're messing with your very own defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is your first disciple. That one is your first disciple. More catch up about treating the first disciple, wrongness of the first disciple. About even when the disciple is when uhezo tetela ne kritura side tetela script, he buy lente para script. I own when because you don't understand. You must become it. You must become it, so that when she looks at it, she will tell your children how. You see, as you guys compare a practical example. And most recently at this, yes, at Lagos, so much Lagos, the children of Lagos were saying, Siabongo about how to love mom. He showed them an express way to take care of that defense. Even defense, that defense. That defense. The defense. So headship is not only, it's not even a matter of dictatorship. Headship takes you moving back to take care of Wongum. And I tell you, if your wife is happy, you will see she will raise the same standard over your children. How you treat her is how she will treat them. So mom frustrate, mom tell her my frustrations. Allow my frustrations with selling and I was even in the job. The Papa got back away. Papa got back. Babwa we are back. The swing Ghana he low better. But you never know a better. Ginela low. It doctrine your better one low. Ginela.
Yo.
No, I'm just trying to tell you, this is the function of the strong man. It is the function of the strong man. That is him now building our families, because we don't know our roles as husbands. We don't know our roles as wives. Therefore, the family is struggling, because the only thing we have is the picture of a good marriage. And we're looking at it, wow, looking at a good picture. Since I saw my life, you must see that. So take moto, then Jehovah. There's no happiness between the two of you. Someone needs to adjust something. And it must be the husband that must adjust first. It must be the husband, or if the wife is not happy, forget the children. Munage. Because she's the only one with the ability to heal the children. You're the only one with the ability to heal her. When I went now, so most of all, trouble begins with fathers. And troubles begins with fathers. You go, you look around. Sometimes we're not saying don't look, look. You've got eyes. But when you begin to touch, leo de ubuya now, leo kuzala. This is how this is how so number two, hearing the voice of God. Okay? And hearing the voice of God comes with something called, they normally pride themselves in it, but it's a sixth sense. Sixth sense. It's not the sixth sense. God is telling you as the wife, there's now a threat in your marriage. You see how many so something when it's a it's before it goes worse, before when it tells you alert, 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 alert. It tells you alert, alert. They say when it's condemn. It's spirit. It's the spirit. It's your spirit. It's your spirit telling you, now there's something invading your marriage. It's time to pray. And it's time to pray, not to start looking at how sneaky he is and measure. It's time to pray. It's a spirit. She invade. So before she invade, you feel uncomfortable. Before it introduces its patterns, it first needs to make you aware. Before it starts introducing, and then message speak, it's time for you to get down on your knees as long as fast and don't pray, and you will come back. And guys, if ever you've seen the strategy, I'll just tell you about the strategy. A movie. Well, guys, we are boy war room. Don't know whether you've watched war room. Try it. But in war room, the husband. So when it's Kati, some days, Connie's Kati where he was considering on cheating. And that was the time when God made the move on the wife to say, then she started praying. And then she got to a place and just, immediately, because the spirit was expelled, what happened to the husband? The last stage was him coming back to say, hey, I almost cheated. The condition of the family was changed immediately. So these are the operations of the sixth sense. And that's the time when they pride themselves in it, but Satan doesn't care about that. Satan doesn't care about that. He will come right. Because the first thing that him buys was that he had more money. That's what God took away from him. To humble him, you don't understand your power. You don't understand your power. Because when Ebu Yamator, that was him exercising his power to heal. Okay. Number 3. Fair benefit. Fair benefit. You have the ability to make up his sense of reasoning.
Yes, good sir.
And sometimes reasoning will give you the ability to see if he has pride. You must be the first to tell him. appropriate. You're the first to make up his reasoning. But all of these benefits can be limited if you haven't dealt with the ones that your mom, if you haven't dealt with the strong man of your mother. There's two clashes coming. The strong man of the father, the strong man of the mother. That's the need. That's why it mustn't again about to your relationship needs to go to the cross. Is it again? There's a point where you were making individual decisions. There were points where she was making individual decisions. Then she came into marriage. The decisions there are not as individual as you may think. Therefore, the whole structure needs to go through the cross. Now, unfortunately, with the cross brings death to everything. Even I understand, cross means death. Cross means judgment. He comes to judge every system. My servants. In your marriage, he judges everything. The cross will judge everything. It will kill everything in its sight. If you understand the work of the cross, it kills everything in its sight. Everything that is ungodly dies when it gets to the cross. We are not talking about forgiveness of sins. We are talking about the death of a system entirely. We are not talking about, we survive for today. That's not the cross. That's you just receiving mercy. But beyond mercy comes the work of the cross. And because of the work of the cross comes a godly thing. The cross comes to bring godliness, nothing else. There's a point in time where the Christian is just a Christian. But there's a point in time where the Christian itself, where the Christian, him or herself, goes through the cross. And a godly state begins to arise out of that Christian. There's Christ before the cross. There's Christ after the cross. Christ came as the Son of Man to make us sons of God. So when he was a Son of Man, he went to the cross. After the cross, he became the Son of God. Because we are all sons of men before. We become sons of God after the cross. He says that whosoever believeth in him should not. Should not, because Ushel is more direct, but it should, because there are people that do perish. Should not perish, but gain the life that is coming to be given. So he says that whosoever believeth in him should not. So even he says, because he gives the grace to become the sons of God, so you become it. It means that there are some things in your life that need to be put to death. No, we're not coming. There are things that need to be put to death. That's why the whole womb, mother, father, children, all need to go through the cross. For the work of the strong man to be completely destroyed. If ever we were to come and we were to continue in such a manner as to stop seeking God or stop seeking godliness, our marriages will be stuck at the same point. Even our sense of being, you now as an individual will be stuck in the same place. So we need that godliness. We need the work of the cross. I don't know how the work of the cross stopped. Angazi Angazi, why the death of Jesus stopped, why we stopped preaching about the death. And we kept talking about, you get this, you get that. I don't know how it became materialistic, but the problems that we have instigated in the realm of the spirit. And what happens with spirit? His spirit sets out a path. And when the spirit sets out the path, the only thing you are doing is that when you are praying, the hand of God stretches out to bring you out of your path, to put you on his path. And for as long as you are in the path of that spirit, you will never even be attacked. You will be right. Because they've chosen the wrong wives. Usathane even endorsed their marriages. Because you've chosen wrong. Do not be equally yoked with an unbeliever. Do not. Not towards him, as a stranger. Do not. You're changing nobody. You're changing nobody. The only reason Moses told and the mistakes that we made. You make the same mistakes. It's what you heard. Izangoma manje, izangoma khona ezifundile. Uthola ukuthi udokotela. Udokotela abantu bathi yena sayisiphatha. Udokotela. Khona no